Ooh.
Right. Hi, everybody. This is Richard from the Homeschool Freedom Club, and I've got a guest here today. I am here with Nicci Cuff from Heart Centered Sales. And now, a couple of weeks ago, I did a masterclass with Nicci on Heart Centered Sales that she very kindly ran in her group. And I've got echo here. Hang on. Let's get rid of that. Right. And it was absolutely fantastic. It was a real eye opener for me because Heart Centered Sales. And now, a couple of weeks ago, I did a masterclass. Right. Okay, got it. Right. Gremlins out the way. And I did this the masterclass with Nicci on Heart Centered Sales, and it was absolutely fantastic because I'm one of these people. I'd always viewed sales with a bit of suspicion. You sort of think of, I don't know, Boise from Only Fools and Horses, the used car salesman type approach, don't you? Or what was it, Swiss Tony from the Fast Show, or something like that. And it's just that's the image that sales has, especially when it comes to things like network marketing. But also, I've been in sales before in a previous life, and I worked in scientific sales, and I never liked asking to offer the order, and I always find it really hard following up with people, and it was just a real chore. And so when I saw Nicci's Heart Center Sales Masterclass, I thought, right, I need to get on this because we all sell to, I think, one degree or another. And I know a lot of the people in this group have their own businesses. There's coaches and we've got people in the healing profession. And quite often the thing that will be letting your business down is just that inability to be able to go up there and talk to people about what you do without feeling a bit icky about it. And that's something that can really hold you back. Oh, hi, Terry. It's you. Lovely to see you. Thanks for jumping on. And so this is why I thought I'd get Nicci in to have a chat to the group about heart-centered sales. So welcome, Nicci. Thank you ever so much for coming on. Can
Cheers,
you just
Richard.
tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
About me, so I am the founder of the Heart Centered Sales Academy and Framework. My background is actually hardcore corporate. It was a mistake, but well, it wasn't a mistake. It worked out perfectly. But I just wanted to go to India and live off grid, and I obviously needed some cash to get to India. And I'd been told loads of times, "You're so good at selling. You're really natural at selling." So I thought I'll just pretend I've had a sales job then, and blagged my way into a company. Solely to just get enough money for the ticket to India. That's me done. And it turned out I was very good at selling and I loved it. I got really into the psychology of it as well. Like, oh, why is that? Why does that work? And why doesn't this work? And this kind of thing. Long story short, that company was Mercury Communications, which is now Virgin Media. And I stayed with that company all the way through cable and wireless, NTL, all these mergers. I was asked to become the sales trainer, the national sales trainer of that company, wrote a program, like a sales training program for them. Virgin Media still uses that 22 years on. So, and I somehow got headhunted to become the head of sales for Virgin Media with over 100 people working for me. So it all went very corporate. There was a lot of suits involved, very straight hair and all that kind of stuff. But my heart was always like, I mean, from being a child wanting to change the world, I was always spiritual, into all my stuff, I wasn't into corporate. So what I ended up realizing was it was actually a soul reader told me, you're here to bridge the gap between the corporate world and the conscious world. And for a while, I thought that meant take the conscious stuff to the corporate, right? But that never really happened. I didn't do anything with it. And then all my mates are like, a lot of them are homeschoolers, they're creatives, they're healers, they're artists, all this kind of thing. And they would always say to me, like, oh man, I really need help with selling. I hate selling. And then it dawned on me, that's what I meant to do, is take my corporate knowledge to the conscious world. So that's what I now do.
Well, that's amazing. I think that sounds like a real calling as well, and
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things that lies at the heart of what you're talking about, isn't it? It's you need to have something that you really believe in
Yeah.
to be able to do this. So let's just chat a little bit about what heart-centered sales is, because it sounds lovely,
Yeah,
but
right. What is it?
But what is it? Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Just to say before I answer that as well, the minute I decided to bring my business acumen online to help heart-centered business owners, the amount of opportunities, the right people, that everything just fell into place because it was my calling. I was blatantly here to do that. So yeah, it was beautiful. So heart-centered sales it's how I always sold. Yeah, that's because I was a hippie anyway, and just that's how I am. And I realized that's what works. So I didn't have the term heart-centered, but I always sold in a way that was person to person. So it was different with every unique individual that I spoke to. It was always very conversational. I involved the person I was talking to in the buying decision. So they never felt like sold to and pitched. They felt like they were deciding to buy themselves, which is a huge part of what I teach now, of how to do that. So heart-centered sales is still selling. It's not being, I mean, God, there's so much to it. It's not being like, a lot of healers especially feel like they shouldn't be making money. And it's like, no, you really, really should. So it's feeling good about charging what you are worth and what you deliver, but doing it in a way that both parties feel really cool about the decision and happy. And it's a joint decision, you know. Heart-centered sales is about honoring the unique individual in front of us all of the time, only selling to people that we know in our hearts we're going to benefit, but also using the sales skills and the techniques in a way that feels right to us so that we can be authentic. Because this is a big thing. What I find with a lot of my clients is they're gorgeous people. They're just amazing. They're great listeners. They're great conversation. They're just lovely. And then when you hear them sell, you're like, hello, who are you? What's happened? And where did you get that voice from? Yeah. Because we seem to feel like we need to put this mask on. And then we either will go, oh my God, this is awful, and kind of clam up and not be ourselves, or you'll go the other way where it's like, right, I'm here to sell. I'm going to be hardcore. I'm really owning this. And you know, either way, it's not authentic. Yeah. So a huge part of heart-centered sales is about being fully you, only using the language you would use, only being who you are. And that in itself is a huge difference in people saying yes to you.
Yeah, and that is absolutely true. I mean, from my experience, I mean, I've had some formal sales training, and I just hated it. Honestly, yeah. I really, really hated it because you're right. I just felt like I had this mask on the whole time. I wasn't being me. People can see that, you know, they sense it. They're not stupid, and so, and people buy people at the end of the day. So if you're not sure who you really are, then why are they going to buy from you?
Exactly that. And they do. It's such a cheesy line. I'm glad you said it, not me. I'm always saying it. But people buy people first. They have to buy you. But especially in the world of heart-centered business owners who are therapists and coaches and healers and this kind of thing, you're literally buying that person and what it is that they can bring. So, yeah. And also, even if you were very good at selling, but you were being fake, you're going to draw to you clients who aren't right for you. It's not the right match. It feels like a sticky relationship. There's obstacles. Whereas when you're truly yourself, and this is, so as well as the selling, I also teach the social media and the magnetizing people too. So we don't chase people around the internet feeling desperate and hassling people in cold direct messages, which I know a lot of uplines are bang into in social media, but no one likes it. The people doing it don't like it. It doesn't get the results. So it's also about being authentic in a way that magnetizes your people, not the others, just your people that you want to work with to you. And then creating a desire in them to know more about what you do, or to have more of what you offer. Yeah.
No, I mean, that's such a lovely way of looking at it as well. It's more sort of a cooperative two-way thing rather than just talking at people. You're involving them in a conversation, and you're helping draw them to you. As you say, it's all about attraction. And whereas I think most sales techniques seem designed to repel, it's just
right. And they do, and it's about it's about being authentic and honoring the unique individual. What happens when you are kind of, I'm always using this term and I think it's overused, but here I go, when you're stood in your power. So that's the difference of chasing and hassling and needing and coming from a place of lack. When you're in your power going, I have this and it is fantastic, I know, I trust this is going to help the right people, and pulling people to you like a magnet or a lighthouse. Or lighthouses don't really pull to you, but you know what I mean. Shining your light, your authentic light of who you are and what you do. In the shift in that energy actually makes you feel loads better, but it also pulls more people in. Whereas the minute you're in DMs going, how are you? How long have you been in coaching for? And all this, people are just like, oh, it's like, you know, if you've had somebody you know, that's wanting to take you on a date and just hassles you and is completely like, please, I'll massage your feet, I'll bring roses, I'll do this, I'll do. You're quick, however good looking they are, you're quickly off them, right? Because they're
Yeah.
sort of chasing and needy. Whereas when you're in kind of, well, the temptress or kind of king mode, where you know what you've got and you pull people to you, it's also a more reciprocal relationship then as well. And again, all of these things just make us feel better about what we're doing. You
Yeah.
know, like more comfortable in selling, more comfortable in letting people know about what we've got.
Yeah. Again, it all stems from just the authenticity aspect, doesn't
Totally.
it? It all
Yeah.
comes from that. And you're right. I mean, so much of it is also, it's just that mindset of not coming from a place of abundance, as you were saying, rather than coming from a place of lack, which
Yeah.
is, you know, where so many salespeople, I think, come from. And I think largely because they're chasing targets, they're chasing this, that, and the
Yeah.
other, that their upline or their boss or whatever has told them they've got to. And so it brings fear into the equation, doesn't it? And I think that's where, when you've got the fear aspect, that's where the lack comes from, the fear. And then you're on like a downward spiral
Yeah.
almost. And
Yeah.
it's just, then you're never going to get really what you want. I mean, it's
Exactly.
yeah.
Actually, when I was on the phones a million years ago selling, I used to this was proven to me so perfectly. I used to get 7 deals every day. Like 5 was your target. I'd get 7 without thinking about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was told on the last day of the month, my team leader said to me, Nick, as long as you get 4 deals today,
Yeah.
you'll get another £1,000 as a bonus in your
Yeah.
pay pack. Yeah. And I was like, oh, cool. You know, 4's easy. I always get 7. Could I sell that day? No. It was a nightmare. I was like, what? And it's cold calling. So you're saying pretty much a similar thing, certainly at the
Yeah.
beginning. And it just wasn't happening for me. And I went to Craney, my team leader, who was amazing, and was like, Mom, what's happening? I'm on a donut, which is like on a 0.
Yeah.
And it was lunchtime. I'm normally on 4 by now, 3. And can you listen in to me and see what I'm doing wrong? And he
Yeah.
listened and he'd known me years. And he said, Nicci, you're saying exactly what you've always said. He
Yeah.
said, what I think is that because you know you need to get the sales,
Yeah.
the energy is different. He didn't use the word energy, but he was essentially saying the energy is different because there was desperation in my voice. And he's like,
Yeah.
I can't hear it, Nick, but something's blatantly happening because no one's buying off you today.
Yeah.
And so what he did, he was a genius. He said, I tell you what, I'll give you some sales. Your new mission is not to sell. Your mission
Yeah.
is to either find something out about the person on the phone that you would not normally find out on a cold call, or
Yeah.
make them laugh.
Yeah.
And just forget selling, either make them laugh or find something out about them. Yeah. And then just enjoy your calls.
Yeah.
And the minute I did, bang, 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 I had like 7 sales within 3 hours or something.
Yeah.
Because the point is, I changed my, oh my God, I really need these sales for the extra
Yeah.
grand, to I'm just going to be with this person. So yeah, it's definitely, but also of course within all of this, because you can't just show up and be yourself and that's it. You
Yeah.
do need
Yeah.
the strategies and the processes and the kind of structure that will hold you in being yourself, but within the bounds of the having reaching the objective of getting a sale at the end of it, you know.
I mean, it's interesting what you're saying there. The subconscious, again, just a powerful tool. It's all
Massive.
there. You didn't know it was there, but it was there.
Mm.
So, for people that want to kind of adjust their mindset to get out of that place of lack and into a place, have you got any sort of tips that you could share that might help people get on their way from that?
Yeah, totally. My favorite tip is get your old testimonials or old voice notes, old messages from clients, or even if it's friends or family that you've helped or whatever, dig them out. If you can, print them off and stick them around your computer or something, but definitely read them out loud. Like out loud lets your whole body hear. Because we can sometimes, when we're in the place, we're like, oh my God, this new bill's coming and I didn't realize the car needed this doing to it. Now we forget what we're doing. And we are providing a service. Yeah, we are. It's not, this is only for heart-centered business owners, of course, which is why I'm really strict on who joins my group. But if you are a heart-centered business owner, you have something valuable. You have something important. You have something that can help change our world and bring in this new way of being. Like, fucking hell, that, excuse my language, but you know, I swear all the time. But that's so important. And we can lose sight of that and get all scrabbly in the world of lack and need. So it's a really nice exercise is to go, right, hang on a minute, let's take a breath. It's all going to work out. Let me just go back and just reread something where someone's gone, oh my God, that session with you was phenomenal. Or thank you so much. I've got it in the post. It's blown my mind how beautiful it is. Whatever it is, is to, and they're very good to read before you get on a sales call, to just put
Yeah.
yourself back and remind yourself why you're doing this. So
Yeah.
that's one tip. Another tip is to remind yourself of what you'll do, and know in the heart-centered selling, you're only going to sell to someone you know will benefit. So
Yeah.
you can kind of give yourself permission to, like, okay, if they're not going to benefit, I'm going to say, this isn't for you at the moment. Come back to me when you're here, or, you know, maybe
Yeah.
go and look here or whatever, which almost gives us the permission to, like, okay, so if I can sell to them, if I do know they're going to benefit, then I'm allowed to be in that energy
Yeah.
and be, you know, and again, it's that magnetic, sometimes I call it big dick energy as well. It's kind of, we're not like this. There's a sort of
Yeah.
lean back. This is what I've got.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, there's tons of techniques, but those are two good ones.
And you talked about a framework there.
Mm.
I help you. So what did you mean by that exactly?
So, well, I have a number of frameworks actually, but my key framework that I have, the heart-centered sales framework, is literally a structure that you take your person on the meeting, in the Zoom call, on the phone, whatever it is,
Yeah.
and it mirrors the mental buying process. So when we buy something,
Yeah.
whether that is a loaf of bread or a car or a 12-week coaching program or whatever it is, we go through, in our minds, in our mentally, we go through a process. And for a framework, for any sales call to work, we need to tick off each of those things. So this framework mirrors the mental buying process, and that means it makes sense to your person that when you say, I mean, I would never tell you to say this, don't say, shall we sign you up? But when you get to the point where you want to make that sale,
Yeah.
it's an obvious, most natural step for that person to take, as opposed to, oh, whoa, I need to think about it. Oh, whoa, calm down, because you've taken them on those steps. Do you see
Yeah.
what I mean? So when
Yeah.
you do ask for the sale, they're ready to buy it. So it
Yeah.
makes sense to them, and they feel comfortable because each part of their mental buying process is getting ticked.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, for us, it really helps us because it stops us. I mean, how many people get on a call and they end up just talking for ages, and then it's really painful to go, anyway, the thing I want to sell to you,
Yeah.
you know, or you come in too fast, so you just sell. So the framework, because I don't just give you the framework, I give you the objectives, like, and some of them are tiny. One's just one sentence, but it's an absolutely vital, powerful sentence.
Yeah.
Really, really helps. So you understand the reason for each place. So even if you end up going on a tangent talking about your brother's wedding, you can come back to where you are on the framework and continue through that mental buying process.
Yeah.
So that's the key framework, is actually how to conduct a sales conversation, but with the boundaries. So I kind of, you know, the rumble strips on a motorway,
Yeah.
it's a bit like
Yeah.
that. So you can still be you in those 3 lanes,
Yeah.
and, you know, let that go naturally, and, you know, react to the person in front of you. But this kind of keeps you
Yeah.
on course so that you get the objective of the call, which is to get a sale at the end of it. But then we have other frameworks, like social media frameworks and strategies for, you know, growing your audience, creating groups,
Yeah.
or, you know, getting people asking you for a call, for instance.
And I think the biggest problem a lot of people have is actually closing. I know for me, it's always been one of those things, and for me, it's like a real dark art, because it's like you've got to know when, what to say, how to approach it, so you don't scare people off. And as you were saying, you don't want to go too soon, but if you leave it too long, then you've kind of
They got
gone
off the boil.
past that, and you've got to come back again. And it's like,
Awkward.
how, I mean, just how? How do you know when it's the right moment?
So, well, you'd have to be in the academy for that, man. But I
Yeah,
can
yeah,
give you this,
yeah.
because there's all sorts of buying signals, for instance, and you want to be aware of what they are and know what to do when you hear them. But the cool thing is, so for anyone who's seeing the close as a separate entity that happens at the end of the sales conversation,
Yeah.
they're missing the point, and it's always going to feel really yuck. And also, it's going to either be a surprise, or, you know, it's not a thing that happens at the end.
Yeah.
The closing begins right at the beginning. And I don't mean by that you're going, so you're going to buy later, aren't you? Like, I don't mean that. But the following this framework, you're actually making the sale as you go through the framework. So again, it's not a surprise when you say your closing statement, your close. So it's interesting. Years ago, when I was a corporate sales trainer, they asked me to do a 4-hour masterclass on closing. Yeah. And I
Yeah.
think they thought, this is like the directors, thought I was going to just do 4 hours on, well, you can say this, there's the assumptives, there's the alternative, there's the Columbo close, there's all these different types of closes, right? But, and I mean, I could share those with you right now. It wouldn't actually help anyone because you've got to have the whole thing in place first. Then the closing doesn't matter. So when I wrote this masterclass, and they nearly didn't sign it off because you have to go to them and go, this is what I'm going to do. And the first, I think it was the first hour was just on the framework. And then there was 2 hours on techniques within the framework and just an hour on closing skills. And they were like, we need the closing. And it's like, that's the closing is there. The lines that you use at the end to actually get that person to go, fuck yeah, I'm in.
Yeah.
They're not important. So in the academy, I give everybody loads of different closing techniques. Some of them are brilliant, like they're really interesting to know. And they help you with everything. They help you closing your kids sometimes as well, by the way.
Oh, we can
Because
selling,
yeah,
the kids are
selling
master
is
negotiators, aren't they? I mean, just
oh, it's shocking. They are absolutely brilliant. We can learn a lot from them. But selling can be selling a behavior, selling a concept, selling, do you know what I mean? It doesn't have to be selling for money, selling a product for a thing. So I always say, like, you get all these closing skills in the academy, but by the time you get to that module, you don't need them. You just don't need them. One line, you know, that you can use. And I thought you don't need anything fancy or clever because it's done throughout the call. So so for anyone thinking, oh, I'm fine until I get to the close, it's because you're seeing it as a separate, scary, weird, icky thing, and it's not. It goes conversationally throughout. And there's one technique that I share that's just superb and closes tiny. So instead of at the end of the call, and this is why people don't like closing, I think is, well, I know, is that they get to the end of the call, they've said everything they need to say, there's nothing more to say, but they instinctively know if I try to close this person now, they ain't going to go for it. We know instinctively, right? So then what happens is you just start repeating yourself and weakening what you're doing even more and saying this and overselling and going part, you know. So it's to have it not as that is, if you think this is the time on a call and this is the sale up here, it's a leap from chat, sell to, yes, I want it, 100% commitment in one sentence. You're never going to do that. So with this technique, it's little steps. It's hard to do this with my hand, but they're little steps. So you're going closer and closer, 50%, 60%, 70% close. So by the time you're at the point where you go for the close, they're ready. It's like a 5% jump to just go, let's do it.
Okay, that's interesting. And the other thing is, like, you know, people often the objection handling is a big thing, and I think also just, you know, being ghosted as well, and does no mean no. You know, that's the other one, because quite often you'll hear no, and then you just give up, don't you? You know, it's like, no, okay, and of course, no doesn't always mean no. It's just no, not right now, or, you know, I mean, can we just talk around that a little bit more? Because
totally, and you're dead right. I mean, a straight up no, a rejection, is one thing. It's very, very rare if someone has agreed to have a call with you or a Zoom meeting or whatever it might be, that they're going to sit there and go no. Right? It's very, very rare. You might get, it's a bit too expensive for me, or it's not the right time for me right now, or I'd need to speak to my partner, or I can't afford it, or can you just send me a link so I can read about it? These are objections. They're not a rejection. Now, you can actually overcome a rejection, absolutely. And I did, if you think, when I was cold calling, I had to, like, a number of times. But in the main, with the heart-centered business owners that I work with, they don't actually get a no, they get an objection. So if we put rejection to one side, an objection is definitely not a no. It isn't. It's literally not a no. It's so often a buying signal. And I know that sounds cheesy, like, oh, you're just trying to reframe it for us, Nick. It's the truth. When I was on the phone selling, if I had someone, however, I didn't care how nice they were or what they were doing, if they weren't objecting, I was irritated because I knew I wasn't going to be able to sell to this person. Right. And this was an instinct. I hadn't learned this. Well, I'd learned it, but I'd not read this anywhere. I just knew instinctively, until the person I'm talking to, a cold call, until they say it's a bit expensive though, isn't it? Or I ain't got time for that, or whatever it might be. The thing is, they're not imagining having it. They're just talking to me. Right. The minute they come up with a reason why it won't work, it means they have imagined having it. which means I've done a big part of my job. So for me, when I was on the phones, and again, it's different for heart-centered business owners in sales discovery calls or something, but the mechanics underneath it are the same. The minute I had someone object, I was like, boom, we're in. Right, now I can sell to this person because they've gone further down the mental buying process.
Yeah.
So it is true. An objection means they are imagining having it and they're just thinking of why it won't work for them or where their fear is or why it's not yet.
Yeah.
And so often, 90% of the time, it just means that the work in the call has not all the boxes have been ticked for the mental buying process. But it's definitely not the end. And it's heartbreaking to see people going, oh, and then they said this, so I just said bye. And it's like, no, you were closer to getting the sale.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean to then badger them into it. It's to allow the objection on the table. With shine a light on it, let it be there. Don't defend it, because if you defend, they're attacking. Now no attackers and defenders buy from each other. It's very often, if you go to your partner and you're like, hey, listen, I'm a bit pissed off with this, or I'm a bit whatever with that. What you don't want them is to go, oh no, but that was a mistake, I won't do it again. Or, well, no, you took it wrong. And none of us want that. We want to just be heard. We want to just say, this is my thing. This is what I'm upset about or worried about or whatever it might be. So with objections, again, it's a mindset thing. It's to welcome them. Know that in the main, they are a buying signal. Your person is now further down the mental buying process. And also to just let them be there and go, okay. So, but absolutely. I mean, if I thought objections were the end, I literally wouldn't have sold a single thing when I was cold calling, so they're often a request for more information. They're very often, especially the ones I just mentioned, they're smoke screens. So they are what we say when we're not ready to buy, but they're not the reason that's stopping us from buying. They're send me the information, I need to think about it. That's not a reason to not take something. That speaks of something being underneath it. And so in the academy, there's the heart-centered sales objection pathway. It's dead small, but it's to take people through the process to just make sure you're dealing with the right objection. Because I know for a fact, lots of people who sell, especially in this environment, will hear it's too expensive or I can't afford it. And then they'll discount it and discount it and discount it to death, and they still won't buy it. And where you sort of like, banging your head against a brick wall, like, what are you talking about, mate? This is a tenner now, and it was £1,000 before. Like, why are you? It's because the money wasn't actually the thing.
Right. Okay.
It's because that's the easiest thing for us to say is I can't afford it. And now, of course, some people, that is a real objection, but there's a way of working through that. But very often, like I always tell the story, I was in a shop, there's this kind of vasey ornament scenario, and I was like, oh, I'm having that. And I was thinking it's about probably going to be 40, 50 quid. And I said to the guy, love that. How much is it? And he said, it's £80. And I instantly said, oh, I can't afford that. Of course I could have afforded it. I absolutely had the money right there and to have bought it. But it wasn't that I couldn't afford it. And he was like, oh, we're all very British. Like, oh, awkward. Okay, don't worry if you can't afford it, sort of thing. It wasn't that. Didn't see the value in it. I didn't think it was worth 80 quid. So that's another thing, is learning to, so you can, a lot of the objections that people hear, you can preempt. You can, by getting the framework right and being with the person and having a conversation, then they won't feel the need so much to go, oh, I just need to talk to my partner first, or it's not the right time for me, or whatever.
And I guess a big issue is that a lot of people sell features, not benefits, as well, isn't it? So
nice,
isn't visualizing what this is going to do for their lives. They're getting a list of what it can do, but not how it actually affects them. So
exactly, Richard. Because what we do is we talk about the deliverables. Well, it's 12 weeks and you get weekly this and you get that, and it's this and this and this. No one buys their features. They're the thing that it is. We never buy a feature. We buy what it means to us. We buy, and we don't buy results even. We buy what the results mean to us. So even if, and I'm not mad into dieting, but it's just the easiest sort of example to give, is if you were to do a program that got you down a dress size, you're not buying getting down a dress size. You're buying what going down a dress size means to you: more confidence, a whole wardrobe you can now access again, or do you know what I mean? Feeling healthier, feeling more energized, whatever it might be. You're buying what that means to you. You're not buying going down a dress size. So it's to get right into the results and how that's personal to your person, which is why it needs to be conversational, because otherwise you don't know. One
Yeah.
person might want to drop a dress size because they're feeling very unhealthy and they can't get as active with their kids as they want to. Someone
Yeah.
else might be newly single and want to get out there and, you know, look good in the old clothes they used to wear when they were
Yeah.
last single. You know, until you find out uniquely what this person's looking for, even if you're only selling one product, you would still talk about it differently. And exactly like you said, with the actual benefits and what's in it for them.
Oh, that's fantastic. Oh, thank you. You've given like a load of value here today. So thank you ever so much
That's
for
all
that. It's
right.
been wonderful. Tell us a little bit about your group, Nicci.
It's a free group, which is important. Lots of people like, you should charge up. My last coach was like, why are you charging for this? It's like, I don't want, you know, I charge for my academy and the social media bootcamp, absolutely. But to be able to help anyone who's heart-centered and is in some way enhancing our world or changing our world, I'm up for it, you know, as you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So it's a Facebook group. It's called Heart Centered Sales with Nicci Cuff. It's no, it's not. It's the American spelling because I got a bit mad on numerology and I needed the extra E. So in there I do lives every week, usually on a Wednesday. And again, really high value. They're not like, you know, cheap throwaway lives. It might be looking at getting ghosted, which you mentioned before, how to avoid getting ghosted. Might be looking at in fact, this week, I might do it today or tomorrow, but they'll be looking at lead magnets. So that is the opposite of sending cold direct messages, because you can't just not send cold direct messages and then hope for the best, because hope's a pretty rubbish strategy. Yeah. So what do we do to actually get our audience reaching out to us and saying, oh yes, please, can you message me? So that's what I'm going to be doing this week, is sharing how to do that and giving some examples on it. But yeah, every week there's training, which is all recorded. So anyone who wants to join the group, there's 3 questions you can answer. One will get you the book, the 18 things you can do to increase your sales right now, even if you think you're rubbish at selling. And there's another question in there that sort of lists a few different lives that we've got, like about cost and value and self-worth and how to not get ghosted. So you can tick on those and I can send those to people as well. But yeah, it's a gorgeous group. I'm really strict about who comes in, so it's just full of heart-centered business owners all wanting the same thing, you know.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. And I know when we talked before as well, we talked about you coming into the group and doing a little masterclass for the Homeschool Freedom Club as well, which would be absolutely amazing. I can't think for the life of me of the date we said.
Did we say a date? I don't know.
I thought we did. I can't remember. Maybe we didn't set them. I know we talked about dates. Maybe we didn't actually set one in the end. But
I ain't got it
yeah,
anyway.
let's talk about that in a minute anyway, and
yeah,
put something in. But yeah, if you'd like to see Nicci come in and do a masterclass, then do let us know in the comments, because she's got, as you've heard from here, she's got such a lot of value to give here, and it really is. I mean, I benefited so much from the masterclass that she held. So you know, really recommend that you, if you're able to, you come onto it when we set the date. So just keep an eye out for that in the group.
When we work out our dates,
yeah, we'll figure it out. Yeah, but thank you ever so much, Nicci, for coming in. Really appreciate you giving your time today to come in and chat to us. It's been a really interesting chat. So thank you so much.
Thank you loads, Richard. Yeah, it's been lovely, and I look forward to doing some kind of offering to help everyone more. But in the meantime, if they get into the group, because definitely the live I'm doing this week is going to be really powerful. It's kind of like the final piece of the masterclass that I just did, you know. So
okay, fantastic.
Yeah.
I'll put the link to that in the live when it's all sort of
wicked. Yeah,
I'll stick it in there, and then that'll be where you can find Nicci. So
nice
perfect.
one. And nice one, Terry. Also, if anyone's got anything in particular, like in this group, because I can design the masterclass any which way we need to, you know, if people are like, tell me all about the selling, or actually, how do I get a decent audience of people who get engaged, or whatever it might be. And then I can sort of read any comments on that and then shape the masterclass to suit your group personally.
Okay. Awesome. You heard that, folks. Then, yeah, get busy in the comments, please.
Nice one.
All right, that's lovely. Thank you, Nicci. I'm gonna end it here. And
thank you loads, Richard. Cheers.
Much appreciation for you coming in today. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
No worries. See you.
Take care. Bye bye.